I beat Alex Ayala. 2 sets. A match with no drama, no complaints to the umpire, no nail-biting third set. But if you think beating her is just a matter of sports, you've never stepped into the locker room after a match with Alex. The moment I walked off the clay court in São Paulo, I heard a reporter ask, "How did you overcome a player like Ayala, someone an entire nation is betting on?" I smiled. I nodded. I answered exactly what the WTA wanted to hear. But the truth is this: beating Ayala was unlike any victory I've ever had. Because she isn't just a talented young player. She's a phenomenon, an apparition. Ayala doesn't enter a tournament. She materializes. An oversized gray hoodie, white headphones, no eye contact. And then, with her racket in hand, she turns the warm-up into a psychological test. Every rally has a spin and weight that seems to ask directly, "How long can you last?" I lasted. Yesterday. But this morning, my left shoulder still aches. At minute 17, I will reveal a detail about Alex that all of us know, but no one has ever dared to say publicly. Something that earns her respect, even in defeat. Because beating Ayala isn't a triumph. It's a warning. She is not complete. And next time, she won't show mercy. If you ever thought women's tennis lacked intense rivalries, subscribe to the Pro Tennis Stories 360 channel. You haven't seen what's truly happening behind the courts. You can beat Ayala once, but no one has ever beaten the same version of her twice in a row. There's something special about Alex, and I've confirmed it with my own experience. She doesn't repeat herself. If you've beaten her once, don't expect it to happen in the same way again. Because next time, she will change her rhythm, change her serving routine, change her return strategy, and change the look in her eyes. I have reviewed the tapes of her losses, and no 2 matches are the same. She learns. She analyzes. And when you think you have solved Alex Ayala, you're talking to a new update you've never met. This makes every victory against her only temporary. I remember a coach telling me, "Don't celebrate when you beat Ayala. Be worried." At first, I didn't understand. But after São Paulo, I understand better than ever. Because the moment I left the court and heard Alex say, "You deserved it," I knew she was reloading data. And the next time we meet, I won't be facing the same girl as yesterday. I will meet a person who has added a layer, added logic, added fire. She is the only player who makes you want to prepare physically, technically, and emotionally. Because she doesn't just play tennis. She plays evolution. And yesterday, I won. But today, I'm on a plane. And I know. I only have a few months before she comes back. And when she does, who wins will no longer be an easy question to answer. After the win, I didn't celebrate. I took a long nap and dreamed about her. You think I went to a fancy dinner after the biggest win of my career? No. I went back to the hotel, took a cold shower, folded my phone, and slept. But that sleep wasn't peaceful. I dreamed of Ayala, not the defeated Ayala, but Ayala practicing, sprinting, hitting balls as if she had never lost. In my dream, I saw myself in the stands, watching her practice alone in an empty stadium. No music, no applause, just the sound of the ball hitting the court in a steady rhythm like a machine. I woke up at 3:12 a.m., my heart racing, and my left shoulder still aching from yesterday's match. Winning against Alex is not a moment. It's an aftershock. It clings to my body, both physically and mentally. There's something strange I haven't told anyone. I miss her. Not in a friendly way, but I miss the energy she created. The feeling of being challenged, of being mentally outplayed, of being pushed to my limit. And I realized, there are opponents who make you become the best version of yourself, not because they are nice or inspiring, but because you are forced to evolve if you don't want to be swallowed by them. Alex is that kind of person. And even though the match is over, I know she is still here, in my muscles, in my thoughts, even in the training decisions I'm about to make. On the plane leaving São Paulo, I played back the match highlights, but not to watch myself. As the plane took off, I opened the match video, but I wasn't watching my shots. I was watching her. The way Alex walked between points. The way she adjusted her grip when she lost a long rally. The way she hid her rapid breathing with a slight smile. There was something that just wouldn't disappear. Am I obsessed? Maybe. But it could also be that I am learning. Learning from the very opponent I just defeated. I know she is also re-watching it, in another city, with her coach, with her analysis team. But I'm certain she is not fast-forwarding through the points she lost. She is slow taking notes, comparing, and rebuilding every section where she broke. That's what makes me worried and respectful. A few reporters texted me to ask for my thoughts on Alex after the match. I only answered with one sentence: she is not complete. But that's what keeps me from taking my eyes off the highlights. Because I know that match was not an end. It was the beginning of a series of confrontations where I'm not sure I can maintain the upper hand for long. And you know what's strange? When I saw the look in her eyes at the final match point, I didn't feel pain. I felt a promise. A promise that didn't need to be said. A fire that I will have to keep throughout the season, if I don't want to be the one who loses quickly in 2 sets next time. When the spotlight is no longer light, but a microscope. When Erica became pregnant with their first child in 2022, she didn't share any ultrasound photos online. No countdown posts. No gender reveal videos. For those accustomed to the public everything culture, that silence was unusual. The reality? It was a deliberate choice. We don't need to raise our children on a reality TV show Erica shared on her midweek Rise Up podcast. We just want to raise them in truth. But no matter how silent she was, the media didn't let go. They counted every time she appeared with Charlie. They sensationalized every time she didn't attend a turning point event. Some even commented, "She's just an ornament next to a political warrior." And that was the moment Erica decided. If she was going to be scrutinized, she would make it worth their while. She relaunched her brand, proclaimed streetwear, expanded her podcast, and started accepting independent speaking engagements at conferences on women, education, and faith. Between diaper changes, she wrote scripts. Between Bible lessons for the kids, she had meetings with investors. No one could imagine. This woman just filmed 2 podcast episodes, made dinner, and took care of 2 children, all without a nanny. When you beat a growing icon, what remains in your heart isn't victory, but a question. I beat Ayala. But after all, what remains isn't the score, but a question. Did I do enough to not be surpassed next time? Because she is the type of person you can't prepare for once for many matches. She changes, she adapts, and she carries a kind of hunger that not many young players truly have. The hunger of someone who carries an entire nation on her back, but still wants to move forward on her own, without anyone clearing the way. I don't know if I will meet her again this year, but if it happens, I will step onto the court with a different mindset. Not just as the one who once beat Ayala, but as someone who is facing a new version of myself, created by the pressure she brings. The funny thing is, there are people you beat, and then you forget. But there are some people, even if you win, you still carry them with you, as an inseparable part of your growth. For me, Alex Ayala is like that. And when people ask me, which match changed your career? I won't have to think. I will say, the win against Alex. Not because I won, but because from that day, I was no longer the person I was before. Payoff. There are matches you win, and that's it. But there are some matches where you walk off the court with a victory and still feel like you're starting again from the starting line. The match against Alex Ayala was like that. I won, but I know the next match with her, if it happens, will be a completely different game. Because Ayala doesn't repeat failure. She rebuilds from the ashes. And next time, when we meet, I won't be standing in front of a 19-year-old girl anymore. I will be standing in front of a version she created from her very pain. And that makes me live, train, and grow as if every day is the next point. That's what Alex left behind, not a scratch on the court, but a good pressure in her opponent's heart. What do you think? Next time, will I be able to keep my advantage against a new Ayala? Or was this win just a rare instance where I found the missing piece before her? Leave a comment. And if you believe that women's sports are entering a new era, with rivalries that are not just about scores, but about shaping identities, Then subscribe to the Pro Tennis Stories 360 channel. In the next video, we will do a deep dive into why Ayala's mental game might be her greatest weapon yet, a look from inside the locker room, unfiltered by the media. Are you ready to see Ayala from a different perspective? Jakarta has no tennis academies, so I had to find a detour. I was born in Jakarta, a place with more sun than tennis courts and only a handful of good coaches, if they hadn't quit their jobs. My family wasn't wealthy. The first racket I held was a hand-me-down. The first ball I hit was deflated. But there's one thing I never lacked: stubbornness. My parents knew that if I stayed in Indonesia, I would always be a promising player and never a professional player. So when I was 17, they scraped together money for me to go to the US, not to become a star, but to survive in the NCAA system. I started at the University of Oregon. No one noticed me. I had no sponsors, no private coach, just a training schedule, a curriculum, and the pressure of a GPA. There were mornings when I was simultaneously studying probability theory and analyzing my serve data. There were nights when I cried from homesickness and then went to the gym at midnight. But it was there that I learned to fight like a true athlete. Not for fame, but because every win was one step closer to a dream no one dared to speak aloud. 2025, the year people started to remember my name. In August 2025, I won a US Open qualifier match. No one paid attention, but then I won another match, and another. And then, on the results board of my first ever Grand Slam, the name Janice Tjen appeared in the second round. Not a wild card, not luck. It was my own doing. Then came the tournament in São Paulo. When I walked onto the court, the MC even mispronounced my name. They called me Janice Tjen. But that match was the first time I saw the crowd stand up for me, not for my opponent. I didn't play pretty. I played tough. I played as if every point was a matter of survival. Because for me, it truly was. No one brought an Indonesian flag to the court. No one was broadcasting the match live back home. But when I won the quarterfinal, when I defeated the fourth seed, everything changed. I was no longer an NCAA player. I was a threat. And the WTA started to take notice. Then the schedule showed my name opposite Alexandra Ayala. And I knew this wouldn't be a tennis match. This would be the final test. Alex isn't someone you beat. She's someone you must understand to survive. When I saw my name next to Ayala's in the draw, I wasn't scared. But I was cautious. We are the same age. But she had high-level competition experience when I was still waiting in line at the Oregon cafeteria. She had been on magazine covers, had won junior tournaments, had shaken hands with people I only dared to follow on Instagram. But there's one thing that makes Ayala different. She makes you feel small, without trying to act big. On the court, every one of her serves is like a question. Are you strong enough? And when she rallies, she doesn't just hit the ball. She reads you, analyzes you, finds your weakness, and then exploits it. During the warm-up, I could feel the rhythm of her footsteps, light but full of purpose. She doesn't talk much. She doesn't show much emotion. But the way the other players look at her is enough for you to know this is a person who carries an entire nation on her back. I once heard someone say, Ayala doesn't play tennis to win. She plays because she has no other choice. And I understood if I wanted a chance, I had to defeat her first in my mind. The match didn't need an audience to become history. On the day of the match, I woke up with a strange feeling. Not fear, not excitement, just a prolonged silence in my chest, as if my body already knew today would be unlike any match before. When I stepped onto the court, Alex was already there. White headphones, hoodie pulled tight. She wasn't warming up, she was owning the space. Every movement, every swing had a terrifying precision. I'll be honest, in the first minute, I felt like I had already lost. Not because of the score, but because of the atmosphere. The umpire read our names. A few claps. The harsh sun on the red clay. And then the match began. No prelude, no warning. She served first. The first shot, an ace. I wasn't surprised. But then, I responded. not out of confidence, but because I knew if I let myself get pulled into Ayala's rhythm, I would lose my own. I started to play against her. I didn't chase the fast balls. I slowed down the rally. I didn't try to hit beautifully. I just hit where she hated it most, the dead corners. And each point passed like the ticking of a time bomb. She started to crack, but no one but me noticed. In the middle of the first set, I started to see something no camera could catch. A tiny fluctuation in Ayala's footwork. A fraction of a second of delay when returning a serve. A slightly unusual head tilt when she squinted at the court. She didn't break, but she cracked. At the first break point, when I went up 4-2, I didn't shout. I didn't clench my fist. I just glanced over, and I saw Alex spinning her racket handle 3 times. A habit that only appears when she loses control of the match rhythm. I continued to play as if nothing had happened. But in my head, I knew she was thinking, and that was when I had to finish her off. In the next few games, I cut every high ball. I forced her out on her forehand. I served fast when she hadn't had time to set her position. I gave her no rhythm to recover. She still fought back. There were backhands that made me slide back a meter. There were slices that made me trip. But she was no longer the Ayala who materialized at the start of the match. Now she was present, full of effort, full of fatigue, full of pressure. At the end of the first set, I won 6-4. And as we changed sides for the first time, I saw Ayala bow her head. I won the match, but she won me back with a final look. The second set was chaos, not because of the score, but because of the psychology. Alex started playing unlike Alex. She tried to shorten the rallies. She came to the net, which was extremely rare. She glanced at her coach, something she had never done. I had a feeling she was trying to find herself again, even as the match slipped away. I led 5-2. The umpire called game, and then match point. I served to the tee. She returned the ball out. The match was over. I raised my hand, smiled faintly, but my heart wasn't cheering. Alex walked over, shook my hand. No avoidance, no coldness. She looked me straight in the eye and said just one sentence. "You deserve it." I nodded, said thank you. But as she turned her back, I saw something no reporter saw. That look in her eyes. There was no resentment, no bitterness, just a message that didn't need to be spoken. Next time I'll be back, and you won't be as lucky as you were today. I left the court with a win, but I knew the real match with Ayala was still ahead. The locker room has no spotlight, but it has truths that are only revealed there. After the match, I got to the locker room before her. No one said anything. Every player has their own habits. Some listen to music, some press a bottle of cold water to their forehead, some open an app to analyze match data. I just sat there, my eyes glued to the red clay stain on my knee. The feeling of victory was quieter than I expected. But then the door opened. Alex walked in. No slumped shoulders, no tears. Just a sigh. And then she opened her locker. Another player whispered to me, "She's processing." I understood immediately. Not everyone knows. Ayala never smashes her racket, doesn't scream, doesn't make a scene. But she also doesn't let a loss pass, as if it were a random event. She remembers every error, every moment she didn't come to the net, every slice that lacked power. That day, she changed as usual, tied her hair back, and turned to chat with an Italian player next to her. She smiled lightly, but that's what was truly scary. She could smile after a defeat, not because she didn't feel it, but because she knew the next match, everything would be different. I didn't look at her a second time, but I heard her laughter echo in the silent space. And I knew Ayala was never just a person of one match. She is a person of an entire chain of rebirth that no one can predict. Things about Alex that only those who live the tour know, and no reporter dares to publish. Many people watch the highlights and think Alex Ayala is a rising star. But to us, the ones who live on the tour, fly on the same planes, sleep in the same hotels, and share post-match meals, she is no longer rising. She is already a phenomenon. There's one thing outsiders don't see. Alex doesn't just enter a tournament like other players. She appears as if an electric current has just run through the court. The stadium staff always remember her name. Old umpires nod hello to her like an old friend. And the young players try to hide their tension when they're in the same draw. She doesn't create distance, but her presence itself makes others feel small. Once in Manacor, she sang karaoke until midnight, a Tagalog pop song no one understood, but the whole room clapped. Once in Italy, she practiced outdoors in the drizzle just to know what it feels like to slide on wet clay. She has a habit of giving energy bars to the ball kids, and once corrected a teammate in a doubles match. Don't apologize. Say next point. No one taught her that. But perhaps when you carry the pressure of an entire small nation, you learn to live both humbly and unyielding. Everyone on the tour has a story about Alex, and most don't tell the press because they know no one would believe it. Only those who have played against her looked her straight in the eye as the ball flew back. They know Ayala is a covert mental training program that no one is warned about in advance.